friends, it's Michelle from Little Farm in the Valley. Today I want to talk to you about salsa. One of my favorite things to make with tomatoes is of course the regular, just plain old salsa, like the one that you can and have in your pantry and eat all year. But the past few years we have discovered a couple different types of salsa that we started making and really enjoy it. So today I'm going to be showing you one of our new favorite salsas that we started making every summer. So if you're used to eating things like sauerkraut and fermented pickles and I'm trying to think of something else here, but if you like the taste of fermented food, this salsa is for you. So we're going to make a small batch of fermented salsa today. And it's not very complicated. If you've made like sauerkraut or something else that's fermented, all it basically is you're adding so and so much salt to your recipe and then you're leaving it to stand out for a couple of days. It's not complicated at all and it tastes so good. I know some of you are probably thinking that sounds really disgusting, because when you think of fermented, you sometimes think of like that weird, almost it's no good anymore type of thing, but it really grows on you and it's super healthy. So give this salsa a try if you're looking for some new ways to use up some of your fresh garden veggies. We're going to grab a couple tomatoes, some hot peppers, some regular peppers, garlic, onion, and I think there's maybe lime or lemon juice in this also. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to head to the garden and see what we can find. All right, we're heading to the garden to see what we can find. So if you have been wanting to try this and you're just a little bit scared, you know, what if I make this and it's just a lot of salsa and we end up not liking it? This is actually not that big of a recipe. I think we're going to end up with about a quart. So, you know, even if you don't like it, that's not a huge loss. Thought I was hearing the peacocks, but it's just a chicken. We should go see what the peacocks are up to today, then we'll come back to the garden. There's been a couple evenings here recently where we've heard them calling or doing their mating call, so that's been really fun. There's Ingrid. There's always so much chicken drama. It almost sounds like they're fighting over a nest. First, we're going to sneak up on the peacocks. Oh, well, we're not going to be sneaking up on anybody because they're not down here yet. They're still hiding. The drama is coming from in here, as I suspected. Chickens fighting over the same nesting box. Well, that's nothing new, so we're gonna keep going, see what's going on in the garden. Okay, we're heading back to the garden. We'll see what we can find. He's always the first person here trying to get into the garden. Good morning, Gus. Anyway, he thinks it's okay if he comes into the garden, which it's not, but somehow he manages to get in, even if I close the fence. Okay, so let's see what we can find. Just gonna go down the line of my recipe, and first we're gonna look for tomatoes, which I kind of just picked these, so not sure what we're gonna find. I do have a couple up at the house, but I thought if I saw some red ones, I would just pick them fresh. These are mostly orange though, so we'll just take the tomatoes up at the house. Okay, some hot peppers. I've got some chili growing here, so we'll try 3 of those. This one's a little orangish, but I'm sure it's fine. Okay, jalapenos will be right here. Grab a few of these. The recipe says about 2 to 4 hot peppers, so I'm gonna go with 4 since these are a little small. And then it wants just the regular green peppers. I should have a couple varieties of these growing, if I can find some good sized ones. We'll do 4 of those. There's a pretty big one over here. Okay, so those are our peppers. Tomatoes are up at the house. I think everything is up at the house. Onions are up there, and we put the garlic out already. So I'm thinking I'm forgetting something here, but I'm not sure what. I wanted to see if there was a melon that I could pick. I haven't had one in a couple of days. It's hard to tell if these are ready or not. Doesn't look like it wants to come off. Oh, there's one. That's definitely ready. Oh, that might even be overripe. There's some bugs on it. It'll definitely be soft and sweet. This one isn't far behind. Yeah, these might be ready tomorrow. This one's ready. That came right off. So I'll take 2 up to the house. This is a pumpkin squash melon patch. We've picked 1 big watermelon, and the rest of them are still kind of small. I hope they turn into something. The first one that we picked was incredibly delicious, so I hope that these make it. Okay, we'll head back up to the house. Check out these beautiful zinnias. They are so pretty. The salmon colored ones are my favorite. There's dark salmon ones and then lighter ones. They are so beautiful. Well, Gus didn't come into the garden. He is scratching himself with this big rock, and it looks like he got wet, so he must have been in the tub too. It's a pig's life, and it's a pretty good life. I'm really surprised he didn't come into the garden though. Okay, here we have our tomatoes. I grabbed 6 since these are a little small. These are Romas, so they're kind of the tomato for salsa and paste and things like that. And we've got our onion, our bell peppers. This one has a little thingy, but we'll cut it off. Our jalapenos, our chilies, garlic clove, and then real lemon juice and salt. So we're all ready to go. Okay, we are ready to get started. So I'm going to wash the tomatoes. Peel the onion. That's the worst part, right? It's just one onion, it shouldn't be too bad, but usually peeling multiple onions is something I would do outside. But this shouldn't be too bad, just the one. If my eyes start running, you'll know that it was bad after all. Okay, we will wash the peppers. I'm trying to debate whether or not I should put on gloves for cutting up these hot ones. I guess if I don't, and it ends up being a really bad idea, I'll probably know next time. So you're just gonna want to dice these. It's kind of however you prefer your salsa to be. I prefer mine about diced as small as I can. You could probably also use a little dicing tool or something. I think tomatoes would go through my little dicing tool pretty well, but I don't think I have enough of a project going here that I need to get that out. I can manage this pretty well. Okay, next I'll tackle the onion. I'm actually probably just going to use half of an onion for the salsa, and then I'm going to put the other half aside for another project that I'm doing today that also asks for onion. I just think that's a lot of onion for how many tomatoes I have. And again, this salsa is completely to your preference. If you think this is still too many onions, don't put as many in. If you're not an onion fan, don't put any in, but salsa is just not salsa to me without onions, so I will be adding them. So the bell peppers. I gotta get out my handy dandy pepper coring thing. This has really made my pepper cutting a whole lot easier. It's so slick. I'm just get in there and get that core out. And I think if you type in pepper corer or something or other on Amazon, you should find this. Pepper tool, or I don't know what you would search. Something along those lines. I've never done the jalapenos with it though, so let's see how it handles this. This is a little bit of a harder, tougher pepper. Oh, took it out without much of a problem. Oh, these are hot. I can feel the burning in my eyes. Whew. Is this going to be a good idea? I'll just have to make sure I get all of the seeds out. I will have to cut them open and get a couple more of the seeds out. Okay, the moment has arrived. I am just gonna... That doesn't even smell as hot as the jalapenos that I just did. I don't know how I would core these, so seeds are going in. Well, I might be able to get rid of a couple, but I'm trying to not get any in my eyes. Got a few of the seeds out. Some other peppers that you can use are serranos and poblanos. You could probably use banana, habanero, whatever you happen to have planted, you could probably add. I don't think I'm gonna do the tongue test. It's still burning from the jalapeno I just did. But this doesn't feel as hot. Still feels hot, but not as hot as what I just dealt with. Okay, so next we have a clove of garlic. I'm gonna get out my press. It's a big garlic, so I'll cut it in half. Our next ingredient on the recipe says cilantro, but I don't happen to have cilantro right now, so it's okay if you don't have any. 2 tablespoons real lemon is what I'm adding now. Okay, so now we're just going to stir the salsa gently to release the juices. Sorry about all the background noise. The kids are playing behind me. So it doesn't want you to puree it or be too rough with it. It just wants you to gently stir to release the juices. So the first time I made it, I weighed it because the amount of salt that you're going to add is going to depend on how much it weighs. So I wrote down last year my weight and about what I could fit into a quart and figured out that my salt measurement for a quart is 2 teaspoons. I'll check the recipe for sure, but I wrote down that for a quart I use 2 teaspoons. So if you're ever making a bigger batch, here's how they measure the salt. Add salt equivalent to 3 tablespoons salt per 5 pounds of food. So I must have had a little bit less in my quart last year. So I wrote down for 1 quart of salsa, you will add about 2 teaspoons. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna go ahead and put the salt in. I'm gonna get my teaspoon. That smells so, so good. We're gonna go ahead and mix that up again. And then we're gonna get our jar washed. And then we can start adding this. If my mouth wasn't still burning, I would taste it, but it's still burning. So I'm gonna let it do its thing for a few days and then I'll taste it. Doesn't that look amazing? I wish you could smell this. It might not seem like it'll fit into a quart, but it will. And you can do this as often as you like. I oftentimes during this height of the summer will do this once a week, just so we have fresh fermented salsa available all the time. And this is my first time making it this year, so I'm really excited. I wish I could taste it, but that's the hardest thing about fermenting is it usually takes days, if not longer, for it to be ready. You don't want to smush this, but you do want to pack it. All this juice on the bottom is going to be important, so you definitely want to add that. I have to pack it pretty good, so I'm going to have to pack it pretty good, probably because I did 6 tomatoes. I'm still determined to get it into a quart. You found it. You found it. Good job. Make sure I get every last drop. So the juice that I'm pressing to the top is super important. With fermenting, you always want your food to be under the liquid. So I'm gonna get a glass weight to hold that down to make sure it stays under the liquid, because anything that's sticking out is probably gonna go bad. You can see that liquid on the top there. So I have a glass weight and a spring. I'm gonna try this first, but I wonder if my jar isn't too full. It's not quite working the way I envisioned, so maybe we'll try the glass weight. I usually end up doing this when my jar is this full. Okay, now we're going to add our fermenting top and our ring. Okay. This will release some gases and some air, and it'll also let out a little bit of the liquid depending on how full your jar is. So it's always a good idea to put this on a plate or something to catch that juice that might come out. So it's going to stand right here for 2 to 4 days. Usually at the 3-day mark, I will taste it. And then if I think it's ready or to my liking, I will get that lid off, put a regular lid on it, and get it in the fridge. And it's supposed to keep in the fridge for about a month. Yeah, it's very soft. But just because it's a tad overripe does not mean it's not good. It'll probably be extremely juicy and sweet. It depends on your preference. Some people like them just ripe and still a little on the hard side. I kind of don't mind either way. I just like them cold. So I will cut these open, slice them. This one's a little less overripe, so that'll be a good mix. Anyway, I'm gonna slice them in a container and get them in the refrigerator for a few hours. That's how I like them. I know Gus absolutely will do anything for these melon scraps. He loves them. So I'm gonna get that sliced up and into the fridge. And then a little bit later on, I will take my scraps out and see if I can find somebody that will clean them up for me. Well, it's cooled off a little bit, so we're in search of someone to give these scraps to. See if Ingrid will be interested in a couple of the melon peelings. Looks like she's eating it. Throw her a couple.
Ingrid, here! Here, Ingrid!
She'll more than likely come back to eat them. There's a few chickens here, but I don't see Gus. He's just gonna miss out on his melon scraps that he loves so much. Unless the chickens will leave some for him. Okay, Stetson, do you want to dump this? Oh, there he is. I should have known he was down here. You can dump that out. Yep. Come on, Gus, let the chickens get some too. Don't be greedy. Maybe you should scatter it a little bit. Here, Stetson. I'll throw a couple to the chickens before he eats them all. Can't be everywhere, Gus. No, apparently he can.
Yeah, I have one. Mom, can I go in the kitchen?
Okay, at this point, it's been 2 days. So when we first made it, it was really bright, like the peppers were a bright green. So the brine has started to penetrate, because you can see it's a little bit more of a dull color. On the second day, like I made this Saturday and today's Monday, so it's been 2 days. The recipe says you can taste it at this point. If it's not to where you like it, you can leave it till day 4. And if you think it's ready at this point, you can put a different lid on it and refrigerate it. So I'm gonna try this. I admit I'm a little worried about those hot jalapenos. The chili peppers, I had somebody bite one off yesterday and they said it was more sweet than hot. So eventually though, they did say, okay, now I'm starting to feel the heat. But it's those jalapenos that I thought were terribly hot. Try to get my, there's goes my oven timer. All right, let's see. It was definitely under liquid. There was a lot of liquid laying on top. We're just gonna, it smells hot. So I'm just gonna grab a chip and get a little bit of everything on here. Tomatoes, onions, peppers. Okay, here goes. I don't have water close by, but here goes. It's hot, but it's good. It doesn't taste overly fermented yet, so I think I might leave it for another day or so. But oh, it's good. It is really hot though. My lips are burning, but it's good enough that I'm taking more. Okay, here's a piece of that red chili. See how that tastes. Well, at this point, my mouth is almost on fire, so I don't know if I'll be able to tell. Yeah, gentle sweet heat. I think next time I might add, what did we do, 4 jalapenos? Maybe one less, but it is super good. Super, super good. I will leave it for another day, and then I will like take this off, take the water weight out. Well, I might keep the weight in just to make sure it stays under the brine, but at that point I'll refrigerate it. And it's supposed to be good in the refrigerator for up to a month, I think the recipe says. Maybe even more, but I'm not quite sure. I think I've had it in there a month and it's been pretty good. So thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a video. And do not be afraid to try things that seem way out of the box, because usually they're going to turn out really good.